Hello, welcome to the start of a weekly reading vlog. I'm going to be spending the week reading 5-star predictions for Battleathon. This is a competitive team-based readathon happening in August that I'm co-hosting, and you get points based on your star rating. So I don't generally read things that I think I won't like, but I'm going to be spending the week reading some books that I'm pretty confident I will love. They're some of my most anticipated books and I cannot wait to read them. The first one that I'm reading is Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. I'm currently 26% into this. Today I went to a super cool horror book event and there were tons of authors there that I have read from and loved. So I want to show you what I got signed. I also did grab one book. Everything else I already had, so I wanted to take it with me. But the authors that were there, Adam Caesar, Rachel Harrison, Caitlin Marceau, Todd Kiesling, Clay McLeod Chapman, Chuck Wendig, Paul Tremblay, Brian McCauley, Sarah Langan, and Nat Cassidy. I think that's it. On the way there, I finished up a book I was listening to for another video, and then on the way back, I did start Bury Your Gaze. So I got 2 books by Rachel Harrison signed, Black Sheep and Such Sharp Teeth. This is really cute. Rachel Harrison is going on tour in September. That is closer to me. I did drive. Well, with traffic, it ended up being 3 hours both ways to get to this event, and I was there all day, so I'm exhausted. But I'm going to see Rachel Harrison again in a little bit. Brian McCauley and Nat Cassidy were both there, and I already have all of their books signed. Actually, I don't have The Remaking by Clay, but I haven't read that one, and I own all of his other books in hardcover, so I'm like, do I get that? Well, actually that's not true, because I did get his newest novella that just came out, Stay on the Line. So that is signed. This Is Where We Talk Things Out was one of my favorites of last year, and this author is Canadian, so seeing her there was very exciting because all of the other authors I have been able to see before, or like there's a higher chance. And then I got the Pallbearers Club and Horror Movie signed. I have not read the Pallbearers Club, but I loved Horror Movie. And I've actually read 2 others by Paul Tremblay. Actually, I've read 3. 2 I liked, 1 I did not. But of course, the other 2 that I like, I didn't own. So it's fine. But here's the Pallbearers Club. So I hope I like this one. And then Horror Movie, which I have the Barnes & Noble edition. He had a little stamp, which was fun. So very cool to have that. It's always really interesting to listen to authors talk. In my brain, I want to be an author, but like in my actual brain, like I can't be an author. My brain does not work that way. So I think it's cool, and I love listening to authors talk about writing, but sadly that will never be me. Bury Your Gaze. I'm obsessed with it already. It's so good. I don't understand how Chuck Tingle is so good at having this like weirdness going on, and you're like, what is causing this? And it just like makes me stressed. So I desperately need to know. I need to know. So we are following, oh, I know what it is. I know his name. What is it? What is it? He is a screenwriter for this TV show. It's like the 3rd season's finale, and he writes it, and there's this like big culmination of these 2 FBI agents, something like that. I don't remember what they are, but these 2 women are the main characters, and in his script he has them like finally pronouncing their love for each other. Overhead people are like, you either have to kill them and make them gay, or you have to make them straight and they can live, because I guess they're at this point with like algorithms and technology that they can predict how the audience is going to like certain things. And our main character's like, no, I'm not doing the bury your gay trope. Like, I'm not. He himself is gay. Like, why would he want to do that? So he's like, I'd rather not. And he is given like a certain amount of time to like hand in his like rewritten script. But then these weird things start to happen. He has written a bunch of other stuff, like this horror stuff, and how do I talk about this? Things start to happen that seem familiar to him, and it's like really weird and creepy, and like the descriptions of this one thing, like I was disturbed. I was like, I don't I don't like that. Which means that I'm very much enjoying this book. Like, it's so good so far. So, I'm having a great time. Like, at this point, 5 stars. Which is wonderful for me and my team. It does not have any wicked words in the title, which is totally fine. Oh, also, I actually did start Stay on the Line. And I'm like 20 pages into this, so I'll be reading this as well. This is following a small coastal town where a hurricane went through and destroyed pretty much everything except for an out-of-service payphone. And the people that survived the hurricane have started talking out their grief and saying goodbye to their loved ones in this phone booth. But then, even though it's out of service, it starts to ring on its own. So this is a grief horror novella. I'm excited to finish this up. So I might finish this tomorrow, and then I do have to read all of The Return of Ellie Black. This is my Patreon book club book for July, but everyone voted for the discussion to be this weekend. And if I don't wait until the last minute to read it, I'm gonna forget everything, so I have been waiting to get to this one. I've heard such good things about it, so I'm excited to read this tomorrow and discuss it. So that's how my reading is going. This one also, like, I'm not as confident about this one being 5 stars, but with what I've heard from a lot of people, I think it could be. And I've enjoyed everything I've read from Clam Claude Chapman as well. So lots of fun things planned. I'm so excited about my reading at the moment. I'm gonna go lay in bed. It's been a long day, and I'm ready to pass out. So I'll talk to you tomorrow. Hello, it is Sunday. I have been struggling with some editing stuff, and I finally have it figured out. And I am a third into The Return of Ellie Black. I'm on page 99, and I'm really liking this so far. I obviously expected to, but I knew that this one was more of like a general mystery, so I was hoping that I would like it, but also a little apprehensive, because sometimes if there's not too much going on, I can get really bored. But this one is working really well for me. So we are following a couple different characters. It's a lot sometimes. So at the very beginning, we get this prologue where we are watching somebody kind of like emerge from the forest, and these hikers, I believe, finding her, and it turns out she is this girl, Ellie Black, who has gone missing 2 years ago. She doesn't even know her name at first, and then she kind of recalls who she is. Then we're getting the perspective of Chelsea, and Chelsea is a detective. She was like the lead detective on Ellie's case, and she has this past that led her to want to be a detective. Her sister was killed when she was younger, and they were really close, so that has kind of put her in a position where she wants to help other young girls. It was a very different circumstance, which we do find out about, but we are getting that. So we have chapter 1, and then we also have chapters with Roman numerals, and the chapters with Roman numerals are from Ellie's perspective as she is in this situation. So we are learning about how she ended up being kidnapped, and then the situation of actually living in that situation. Did I just say the situation of living in that situation? Whatever, you know what I mean. So in Chelsea's perspective, we are getting flashbacks, which is a little difficult to keep up with. It kind of automatically switches to that without any warning. So that was an adjustment, but like it's pretty easy to realize what's going on when it's happening. It's interesting because when it's in the flashbacks, instead of using quotation marks, it's in italics. So maybe reading it physically would be helpful if you are confused if you're just doing the audio. So we're mostly getting Chelsea, but we're also getting Ellie's mom and her dad, getting some of their perspectives as well. I think that everything is very interesting. Even the backstories that we're getting, I feel like really feels like it's so that we get to know the characters and not just like to fill pages in the book. So I think everything is done really well. I am really interested in what's going on, and I'm looking forward to continuing. It's not one that's like the most incredible thing that I've ever read, but I'm still really liking it. So I'm gonna check in a little bit later, but positive thoughts so far. Well, I accidentally read a lot more than planned. I'm 233 pages in to The Return of Ellie Black, and I am really enjoying this one. I've been very invested. It reminds me so much of one of my favorite books this year, Appetite for Innocence by Lucinda Berry. They have such similar plots. I do think that this one is darker. It's more descriptive, but like Everything else is very similar. So if you have read this and liked it and have not read this, highly, highly recommend it. And also the other way around. As of this point, I still do like Appetite for Innocence a little bit more, but I do like my thrillers to be pretty dark. Up to this point, we have been learning about the situation that Ellie was in when she was captive and what she had to go through, and I had to check the synopsis, relationships that she formed while she was held captive, and the good and the bad of that, and how that has impacted her now and what she has done to survive and also try to help others. It's been a very compelling read. I didn't even notice I was 75% in until I was like, I should probably check. I'm probably around 2/3. No. So I'm really loving this. I think it's probably going to be 4.5 or 5 stars. There's just something about the way that this story is told that has me really interested in it. I mean, I think that this kind of story inherently is very interesting. When I went into this, I was expecting it to be something different than what it was, but stories like this that focus on victims after they have come home it's just so intriguing, because like I cannot imagine going through such horrific circumstances and surviving that and having to deal with everything. So I just think it's like really interesting from a psychological perspective. Not to keep comparing it, but this one I feel like goes a little bit more into the psychology, and this one is more of like trying to solve a mystery with the detective. This one does have the investigative stuff as well. Like they're so similar in setup and even the plot. But I'm having a great time with this. I am going to finish it up and then have the discussion with some people on Patreon. I don't know why I put it in my computer like people were there and you could see anything, but I'm really having a good time with this. Hello, a lot has happened today, so I need to check in with you. I did finish the Return of Ellie Black last night, and I had a really great discussion with my patrons. I really like being able to like, well, not physically see each other. We're still like on a video call, but like I can actually speak to some of them. So I have a lot of fun with that, and everybody really liked The Return of Ellie Black. Everyone gave it between 4, 4.5, and 5 stars, which I think this is the first time that has happened. I'm currently on Patreon sprints with Mel and Cassidy. I've been working on getting bookmarks packed for my Patreon as well. I'll shut up about that, but it's just all very relevant at the moment. I'm between 4 and 4.5 stars on this still, probably 4.5. This book, like, so much of it reminds me of Appetite for Innocence, and I think that if I had read this one first, this would have been 5 stars, and then the other one also would have been 5 stars, but I think because I read Appetite for Innocence before The Return of Ellie Black, this one it just wasn't as dark, which I prefer. There's a lot of, like, really dark stuff in here, and I think that everything was handled really well by the author. For this being a like thriller debut, I thought it was done so well. Like, I'm so impressed with it. I thought that it was very interesting. It led to a lot of really good discussions. So not quite 5 stars, but super close. Like, truly, I had a great time with this one. Also, that's upside down. I have the Team Snakes bookmark for Battleathon. So 1 book down. I have also started 2 more. Yesterday I think I had already told you that I started Bury Your Gaze, but I'm 42% into that, and I'm still like truly loving it. We are just getting some creepy stuff happening, and the integration of the horror is just like so fun and creepy. The way things are described, it just makes me feel weird, and that's what I want. While I have this out, I'm going to show you the July bookmark that is not available anymore, but then also the August one, which I think is really cute, and like I'm already in spooky season. So this is holographic, and it's like a creepy hand with claws kind of like breaking out of this mirror. So I think that's fun. And then the ones for August are these little Halloween frogs, And then there's holographic pumpkins and witch hats and mushrooms. So that's how that looks like. And then the back doesn't have the holographic foil on it, but they're still the cute little frogs. So I just wanted to share those with you because I love them. And I've been working on packing those while I listen to Bury Your Gaze. And also I started the Stardust Thief. I forget the author's name, but this is a sci-fi book. And I think there's like a heist with this item that is really important to the something sci-fi related thing. But I'm literally 4% into that. I just like stopped at a good stopping point for the end of Bury Your Gaze, so I wanted to give an update. So that's why I started the other book. And also, Bury Your Gaze is an aardvark pick for this month, and I'm going to be getting that, but the Stardust Thief was a pick for last month, so I wanted to know if I should get a copy instead of buying it and then reading it. So I also might be reading the new Catherine Steadman because I have the audiobook for that, but I was going to buy that and I'm like, well, I should see if I want to own a copy, and I have the audiobook for that as well, so I might as well give that a go. I might not like read the whole thing of both before deciding, but I think I have a pretty good idea usually by like 30% in. So Bury Your Gaze, I think it's called Look in the Mirror, and The Stardust Thief are my next 3 books. Not really what I had planned, but things that I'm really excited for and I think that I could really like. I've given Catherine Steadman 5 stars before. But yeah, Bury Your Gaze, I'll probably just check in with you at the end because it's such a short one and because I'm already 40% in. But like, Chuck Tingle, his writing, I just really enjoy it. I just feel like he really brings the creep factor and also has like a lot of good conversations in it. Obviously there's the conversation with the gay characters that they're trying to force him to kill off, but then Misha himself is dealing with a lot of stuff where he grew up, like he was not specifically made fun of for people assuming he was gay, but he is not out to them, so he's dealing with that because he goes back for something. And the things that happen on the plane, I'm into it. I'm very into it. There's creepy things happening. The descriptions of things are so good. Like, I'm truly having the best time. This one is at least going to be 4 stars, but I can see it being 5 stars. Like, seriously, so good. So, the sprint is about to end. I'm going to chat and then get back to reading. Hello. I am 50% into the Stardust Grail. I think I said the Stardust Thief earlier, which is a different book. I don't even think that's the same genre. So this one is a sci-fi book. It, I think, might be considered a space opera. I'm not really sure what that really entails other than it existing in space, but I think there's more to it than that. But I've seen a couple reviews mention a space opera, so maybe that's what this is. This is a heist in space. We are following Maya, who for a long time was like the best art thief known in existence, and now she's kind of in hiding because of a job that went wrong, I believe, and the person that she used to work with has called her back for one more mission. And there's also this like other dude that wants her to steal this thing for him. So what she did before was like stealing art and then returning it to the alien civilization that it belonged to. So 2 people want her to steal this, and it's this like grail that lets you, I can't remember if it's like not like time travel, but something to do with like space-time, something like that. And she makes her decision, and the decision puts Earth at risk. According to this guy, like, without this grail, Earth is not going to survive, but she makes the choice to like help her friend. But the other guy like hired somebody else, so there's like a competition with that. I think this is fine. It's feeling like a 3-star book. I am enjoying it enough to be interested while I'm reading, but like, I don't need to know what happens. I did want to read this to know if I should get a copy for my shelves, and I'm not going to be doing that. So I might pause on this book and start Look in the Mirror tomorrow. I think the audiobook is like 12 hours or something, so being halfway in, I have read parts 1 and 2, so there's 2 more parts. And I just know that I'm not going to buy a copy. I wish I had more to say about this book. Like, the whole focus is this heist, and there's like a cast of characters that are all interesting enough, and there's some moments that are supposed to be like pretty funny, and it's supposed to feel like a found family book, but I just like don't specifically care about anything, but like I'm not bored and I don't dislike things. I sometimes really love sci-fi. Like a lot of my favorite books are sci-fi books, but I don't really know my taste in the genre, so I wanted to give this one a go, and I don't regret it, and I'm glad that I didn't buy a copy first. I'm trying to make like a conscious decision about my book buying. Not that I'm trying to like not buy books, but I don't want to just buy things just to buy things. But I wish I had more to say about the Stardust Grill. I just really don't, because I'm so indifferent to everything. I'm gonna finish it and I'll give you my final thoughts tomorrow, but if you like heist things, you might like this. I feel like I just don't really care about heists, and that's in the synopsis, so like I was a little wary going in, but like once again trying to find my sci-fi taste. I'm also like 80% into Bury Your Gaze, and I'm still loving it. I am gonna probably listen to a little bit more tonight and then finish it in the morning, so I will talk to you then tomorrow. I have to go to the library. I think whenever I do that, Bowser and I are probably going to go on a walk. Don't tell him I said that, or he's gonna get crazy right now. So I'll be able to listen to more of some audiobook then. I also forgot that I was reading Stay on the Line, so need to get to that. I want to try to finish up Cursed Bunny, which I have slowly been reading, but I have exactly half of the book left. This one's not a 5-star prediction, but we're gonna read it because my audiobook returns soon. I have a lot of plans for the last couple days of this. We'll see how it all goes. It's weird, I feel like I'm in a reading mood, but also not, so I don't really know how that works, but we're figuring it out. I'm gonna go lay in bed and read and play a game on my phone. I finished the Stardust Grail. I want to say Stardust Thief every single time. I am gonna give 3 stars. Like when I was reading it, it was fine, but I have no real thoughts about it. I don't really think this is my kind of sci-fi book, but I didn't have any real issues. I had similar feelings to Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini or whatever his name is. There's lots of things going on the whole time, but I just don't know if I really care about them. I think in sci-fi, I kind of like experiments. I definitely like time travel and like multiverse stuff. And I think I like first communication, learning how to interact with a different species. I know that I read mostly horror and thrillers, so like I am assuming tons of people don't read sci-fi, but if you have read any and you have any recommendations, Andy Weir, Blake Crouch, some of my favorites. I also love Kindred by Octavia Butler. I've enjoyed the John Scalzi books that I've read. I've only read his newer 2, I think. So I wish I had more to say about that. It was fine. The way it wrapped up was fine. Good enough. But I just don't really care. Also, I had mentioned that I was going to read Cursed Bunny. I did get halfway through another story, and I'm going to DNF this book. Like, I just don't give a shit. That statement also references the first story in here. Like, when you choose to start off your short story collection with a book about actual shit, like, I don't know. I just truly don't care. I have been reading this for 2 months at this point, and I never want to pick it back up, and like, I just don't care. So I only read 5 more %, but I am going to DNF this, so it's not going to count for anything for Battleathon, which is fine, but I've talked about this in 2 videos already, so I figured I'd give you my final wrap up that I am quitting. So even though I DNF'd it 55% and I only read 5% this month, so this, like, I don't even get to log it for a DNF, which, like, I'm not going to read the rest just to log it. Have I finished anything yet? Oh, I did. Okay. So I have a 4-star, a 3-star, a DNF, and I'm actually going to get back into Bury Your Gaze and Stay on the Line. I want to finish both today. That is my plan. I think both are so doable. I haven't read any more of Bury Your Gaze, but like, I'm pretty close to the end, and then this one is just gonna be like 20 pages. And then I will start Look in the Mirror. I don't want to be reading too many things at once and it'd be confusing for me, for you, for everybody. But I'm in a reading mood today, so I'm going to get to that, and I'll check in once I finish something else. It's like 10 p.m., but I have finished Stay on the Line and Bury Your Gaze. Okay, let's start with Stay on the Line because I finished this one first. I'm gonna give this 4 stars. The atmosphere in this was so good, and I think that the like horror in it was so interesting. So these people are talking to their deceased loved ones in this phone booth, and it feels like it's this gift that is given to them. Obviously, this is a horror book, so like it is probably not really a gift. And the commentary on how this horror element can relate to grief was so interesting, and I just really appreciated it. I think it was done so well, and like in a very emotional way without being like sad feeling. I don't know. I think it was done very well. I will continue to read his books even though like I'm not obsessed with all of them. I've had a good time reading everything that I've read from Clay, and also he's like very genuine in person and like also hilarious. So yeah, very exciting that I read this. 4 stars for this. So that's 400 points for my team. Speaking of more points, I get a nice 500 points for Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. I'm giving this one 5 stars. Something about his books, well, I have not read his erotic books, but his horror books are just so interesting, and they're creepy and gross but also have incredible commentary in them. The amount of discussions that this book had, like obviously the Bury Your Gaze trope and queer tragedy being the norm, but also there's a lot of like technology stuff in here with AI and like the algorithm and just like some other things, and I love it. I love it. I had such a good time with this. It was fun while also having these like deeper discussions. I don't know, there's just something about his books. Like I just saw he was signed for 3 or 4 more horror books, which like is incredible for me personally because I need to read more immediately. Like this one just came out. I'm like, where's the next one, please? I'm obsessed. My phone is about to shut off. I am going to lay in bed. I might start Look in the Mirror tonight. I might also start it in the morning. I'm not sure. But like 2 incredible books that I just finished. So excited. I'm just loving reading right now. I am 50% into Look in the Mirror by Catherine Steadman. I have read The Family Game and I gave that one 5 stars. I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm having so much fun with this one so far. So we are following 2 different women in 2 different timelines. It seems like they are at the same house, and I'm just getting such creepy vibes from this. So in the past storyline, we are following a woman who is hired with this company to be a nanny. She is wanting to go to medical school, and she decided that she's going to take 5 years to nanny for a bunch of rich people so that she can just pay for her tuition up front and not have any debt. So she is starting this new job, and she gets to this house and she has strict rules and all this stuff, but nobody's there. She contacts the agency and was like, hello, where are they? And she's like, I'm not sure, we're working on it. So she's told to just kind of exist, and she's allowed to do pretty much whatever she wants, except there's this one room that she is not supposed to go in. And the person is like, you're not going in there, right? But then overnight, there's this power surge that like starts flickering her lights on, and it ends up unlocking this room. The guy's like really into tech, so you had to like have a fingerprint or something that matched, and the door ends up opening. She calls for somebody, and like the person goes in the room, but she does not. So it's just like very interesting. And then something has happened with that, and I'm like, we're doing what? I'm very, very into it. And then in the present day storyline, we are following, I think Mina is her name, and Amber, I don't know what the other one's name is. And her father has passed away. He was this very smart, talented math professor, and he has died, and she finds out that she has been left a house in like an island on a different country, a place she'd never been to, never heard of with her dad. She was her dad's only family member. Her mom died from like childbirth complications, and she's like, why did I not know about this whole house? So she gets there, and she finds it very obvious that her dad had a lot to do with this house. There's just like a lot of things that she knows her dad would have picked or like designed in certain ways. But then there's this note that's left outside, like saying you need to leave, it's not safe. And there's some things that she starts to pick up on that is very fun. Then there's a note left on the mirror in the bathroom saying, "Look in the mirror." And like, so at this point, like, I'm aware of the direction that it is going in, at least partially. I'm obsessed. I'm having a great time with it. I'm so excited to finish it. I read the first half yesterday, and I'm gonna finish it up now. It's so fun. I can't wait to see what happens in both storylines. I think that they're both very interesting, and I'm excited to watch them come together as well, because there are obviously parallels in them, but it's completely different circumstances. So very excited. Also, I have a hint for you for Battleathon. So currently the team that has given the most books 5 stars is Snakes. Mel gave me that little hint to share with you, so just a little bit of information. I feel like I'm being interrogated with this light. I didn't realize it was shining directly on me, and I don't like it. Okay, much better. It's not directly in my eyeballs. I don't know how I didn't realize that until I had pressed record. But I have finished Look in the Mirror. Also, I don't know what I said her name was earlier, but it was Mina and Maria. So I really liked the direction this went in, and I feel like it had so much potential to be one of my favorite books, but I think it didn't go there enough for me. This had a lot of potential to be really dark and more stressful. I think the things that were happening, I wanted some more details with it. I don't want to spoil this, but the things that happened like is something that's so interesting to me, but the execution not was bad, but just felt a little bit flat. And I think that it could have been even more interesting if it would have been a little more detailed. There were just a few things that I think were a little bit rushed, but I'm gonna give it 4 stars. So pretty successful. I'm so annoyed because I went to check out my cart for Aardvark because I read 3 books that Aardvark offers this week to see if I wanted them. And I went to check out, and then it's like, sorry, one of the books in your cart is sold out. Why didn't you tell me that? Why did, like, put a message in the cart so I don't... Anyway, so I only got Barrier Days from Aardvark. I guess if they're doing a restock, I will get a copy at some point, but like, I could have read a different book. Like, I could have read something from my shelves or something that's due with the library very soon that I've been putting off. But it's fine. In this week, I read 5 books. 3 stars for The Stardust Grail, 4 stars for Stay on the Line, 4 stars for Look in the Mirror, 4.5 stars, but rounded down to 4 for Battleathon, for The Return of Ellie Black, and 5 stars for Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. So 3 stars are 300 points, 4 stars are 400 points. So I got 2,000 points for my team this week. I also did read 2 books in my previous vlog this month. So I got 200 points for one of the books and 400 points for another book. So I have gotten 2,600 points for my team, not counting any that had bonus words in the title. So for my team, it's Wicked, well, Wicked Words. And I've only had one of those, and that wasn't in this video. So 2,610 points. It is absolutely not too late to join Battleathon, so you can join my team. Everything for that is linked in the description. Huge thank you to Mel for putting on such a fun readathon. I will have some more Battleathon vlogs coming, as well as some other fun things that I have planned, so I hope you stick around. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.